name is Jaime. I'm an executive coach and deal maker. Prior to starting my coaching business, I spent 20 years in sales and client relationships. If customer service is a core component to that job, I've probably had that job at some point in my career, maybe even twice. In no particular order, I've been a bartender, a beer tub girl, a cocktail waitress, a VIP casino host, a financial analyst, a marketing director, and an enterprise-level sales executive. Most recently, I was a deal maker for one of the largest IT services firms in the world. I've sold $100 million deals to companies like Coca-Cola, Nike, MGM Resorts. Long before I found enterprise-level sales, I experienced a more scandalous side of customer relationships. It was my junior year at NC State University. I was a zoology major on a fast track to veterinary school. My parents were living on Long Island, New York, when they decided to retire and sell our family home. Then, my worst nightmare came true. I lost my academic scholarship. I had never been so ashamed. I was on the brink of being kicked out of college and my apartment the night my zoology professor took me to amateur night at the local topless bar. It was a smoke-filled club with music blaring through speakers buzzing from overuse. And it felt like it was another world. It was like a party with access to more cash than I'd ever seen. Pretty soon, I decided I was going to be a star. I hit the road to travel the circuit. I grew a fan club through radio interviews. I leveraged promotional items as a revenue stream and built a $250,000 a year business as an adult feature entertainer. I was barely 19. Now, my journey from adult entertainer to deal maker, that didn't happen overnight. That was a 20-year career progression that spans many industries and a series of layoffs. You see, by the time I returned to college and then graduated, the recession had hit hard. Between 2008 and 2011, I was laid off not once or twice, but 4 times. At the core of every job I have ever had, my success or failure, and ultimately my income, has inextricably been linked to my ability to attract, cultivate, and grow client relationships. Equally, I credit my success in navigating each and every job loss with those very same relationship building skills. Now, I prepared myself for my first shift at a gentleman's club by watching on repeat my favorite childhood movie, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Woo! I went to an adult novelty store and I bought some itsy bitsy sequined adult dancer costumes. And on my first shift, with all my fancy costumes, and despite years of professional dance training, my first night was horrible. And then the next few nights, it was more of the same. Eventually, the biggest, burliest bouncer in the club, he walked up to me at the bar, and he said, "As cute as you are, darling, you are not gonna make any money sitting there by yourself. Jamie Lynn, if you wanna make money, you gotta go talk to people." It sounded easy enough, but that age, I had the social skills of a gnat. I was completely socially inept. I had spent my lunch hours in high school eating my lunch in a bathroom stall to avoid teasing. I was petrified to talk to people. If I wanted to be a 6-figure earning stripper, I had to talk to people. The only thing separating cash and wallets from the sequin garter belt cinched around my thigh was my ability to talk to people. Ox was right. If you want to build customer relationships, you have to talk to people. You have to talk to people and move beyond the surface level conversations that are transactional in nature. In the corporate world, when a large deal fails, it's typically not because a company isn't qualified or even because of price. It's a breakdown in dialogue. Think about the clients that are most important to you. What could happen if you showed up more in person, on video, or at the very minimum, picked up the phone? Anyone who's worked a tip-driven position is likely familiar with the term regulars. It's slang for repeat customers. Very few businesses can survive without repeat business. Having regulars as a dancer often meant the difference between going home financially upside down, since most clubs charge a house fee of over $100 every shift, or going home with over $1,000 on a really slow night. So as I got more and more comfortable talking to people, I started to develop my own following of regular clientele. And I was eager to understand what brings someone back to a strip club over and over, night after night. So I started to ask them. Now, while their words took different forms, and most would start out the same, they'd look at me and they'd shrug, I don't know. If I pushed people further, I heard many iterations of the same core feeling. People would look at me with wide eyes, let out a full body sigh, and say, "You get me." My customers, men and women of all socioeconomic backgrounds and demographics, would spend thousands of dollars to spend time with me simply because during our time together they felt seen, heard, and accepted. Now, I didn't have a word for that experience back then. Eventually, I coined the term customer intimacy. Now, when I say intimacy, I am not referring to a physical or sexual act, but rather the process of connecting with someone so deeply, you feel like you can see directly into their soul. Intimacy. Into me, you see. Customer intimacy means I'm going to be vulnerable enough to be open and honest with you so that together we create transparency in our interactions, we share our beliefs and our values, and we accept each other exactly as we are and exactly as we are not. Intimacy. Into me, you see. Said another way, customer intimacy in a business relationship context means creating alignment and awareness for your customer's true self and holding space for them without judgment. So, quick show of hands. Have you ever been to a networking event? Everybody, imagine that. Have you ever observed how some people behave? A little bit. Some people flutter about the room. They're collecting business cards as fast as they can. It's almost as if they think there's a contest for whoever leaves with the most new contacts. Others go into a corner, maybe get really small, sipping on a drink, hoping somebody will talk to them. Once in a while, you come across someone different. They approach you. They start to ask you questions. Something simple. How are you feeling today? You're not exactly sure why, but this person feels genuine. The questions continue. They ask about your passions, maybe even your dreams. you find yourself opening up to him or her. Approach networking that way, they may only talk to a couple people per event, but their conversations are personal. They run deep, intimate. Now, you may not see that person for quite some time, but when you do see them again, you remember them, and they you. You might say to yourself, I like her. It feels like she gets me. That's intimacy in the business context. Talk to people. Go deep. Be a conduit for customer intimacy. And above all else, remember this. There is only one you. Seriously, I cannot overemphasize this enough. Being true to yourself is the biggest secret to customer relationship success. When you're comfortable in your own skin, and then you infuse the real you into all of your customer touch points, you create a foundation of authenticity that fosters the kind of relationships that can span decades and even a lifetime. Thank you.